Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over an upcoming major winter storm which is going to be impacting much of the northern United States from the northern plains through the Great Lakes and then into the northeast. You guys are going to be looking at potentially over 6 inches of snowfall in some pockets here and there. We're going to be going over how much snowfall you could be seeing. We're also going to have my snowfall forecast for the northern plains part of this system, and we're going to talk about that first system that's going to actually move out ahead of this storm, and then we're going to also talk about again where the heaviest snow will fall, and we're going to time out this system for you guys. So here's what the current National Weather Service page looks like. We have some winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings scattered throughout the western United States in the mountains. We also have some wind advisories in California and Nevada, as well as some more winter storm watches in that blue, and then winter weather advisories in the purples for parts of Iowa, South Dakota, and into Minnesota, as well as some more winter weather advisories for northern Michigan and for upstate New York, as well as some lake effect snow warnings for a little area of northwestern New York there. So here's what the current GFS model is showing, and all of them are on the general trend, kind of sticking around this area, seeing the heaviest snowfall generally, and we're going to time this out for you. The GFS, which was one of the models that were kind of keeping it further to the south, keeping the heaviest snow over the mid-Atlantic, has now shifted north to where most of the rest of the models are. We're going to go over the GFS and the European model, and again, we're going to time it out for you guys, and then at the end of the video, we'll have my snowfall forecast for the first part of this system, the first lead system that's going to be moving throughout this section of the United States. So here's by Saturday night, and then here's by Sunday morning. We're dealing with a low pressure that's going to be moving out of Colorado right over here, and it's going to be bringing some snow further to the north. We also have a little system that's up here in Manitoba about to cross over into Ontario and Canada, and that's going to basically sweep this first system out and further to the north, and that's going to allow this system down here to move into the Central Plains, redevelop, gather some more moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and then as it heads further to the north and to the east, it's going to be a lot more intense, and it's also going to have a lot more energy in order to bring in a lot more snowfall and rainfall depending on exactly where you are. So here would be by Sunday early in the morning. This would be right around 12 a.m. on Sunday Central Time. We're looking at more of that snow through Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, just entering Illinois by that point. Maybe a little bit of freezing rain or icy drizzle moving through parts of Missouri and Illinois by that point. Here would be by Sunday right around 6 a.m. Here's by 12 p.m. And we're seeing this lead front start to move away. We're going to see this move out further to the east, and then we're going to see more of that moisture start to be pulled up from the Gulf of Mexico and pulled up further to the north. So we're going to get that cold air, which because of this high pressure further to the north, you have a good supply of cold air into the eastern United States, and that storm system is basically just going to go right underneath it, and to the areas north of that system are actually going to get into some of that snowfall over the next couple of days, and the main impacts from this, the heaviest snowfall will fall between Monday and Wednesday, depending on exactly where you are. So here would be by Sunday night. Here's by Monday morning. We're dealing with potentially some severe weather down through the southern plains and back through into the lower Mississippi River Valley. So if you live over northern Texas, eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, western Tennessee, you could be dealing with a little bit of severe weather. Nothing too major, however. We still have that high pressure further to the north. We have the low pressure, which is now developing because of that Gulf moisture that's being streamed up into the system. And then because we're going to have westerly or actually easterly winds coming kind of like this, that's going to allow this system to bring in some of that colder Atlantic Ocean water and air temperatures and bring them onshore. So instead of getting a straight southerly flow where you're getting very warm air to be pushed further to the north, you're going to get some of that further to the south, but then that wind will move off the ocean as it starts to head further to the north, and that's what's going to allow some of the cooler Atlantic waters to kind of cool down the system and bring in a little bit more cold air, and that should help cool down the system a lot more and bring in a lot more snow for more of a widespread area. So this would be by Monday morning, January 25th. We're dealing with some snow in western Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and then we're dealing with that system heading eastward. It's a fairly strong low pressure by this point. Notice that off the shore of North Carolina, we're actually starting to get a redeveloping low pressure that's going to head to the north and to the east, with some more snow and ice precipitation setting up along that boundary line over parts of Kansas and Nebraska, basically eastward until you hit Pennsylvania, Maryland, and West Virginia for the most part. And you're dealing with, and I'll actually go back here, we're dealing with more of that snow for parts of Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and this would be by Monday night. And then here would be by Tuesday in the morning, and then here would be by Tuesday afternoon and evening. We're dealing with that system heading further to the east. You have more of that snow over parts of the northeast, and basically from I-95 north and westward is where you're going to be dealing with most of that snow. But because it's going to be so cold because of this high pressure, you're not going to get too much snow further north of this line right here, and that's going to kind of prohibit more of that snowfall as you get into New England. So the only areas in New England that might get a little bit of snowfall would be southwestern New England, for portions of western Connecticut, southwestern Massachusetts might get a little bit of snowfall, but those are really the only areas. As you get further north into New England, the main snow should stay into southern New York, Pennsylvania, and northern New Jersey, and then that system heads off further to the south. I'm questioning whether this rain snow line is really going to get that far to the north. You have that low pressure really not that close to shore. It's all the way back here, and you have that cold high pressure in place. I'm thinking that's going to dominate a little bit more, so that rain snow line might not get too much further north than this as we get overnight on Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. I think this model is playing up the warm air just a little bit, and I think that rain snow line will actually be further south than what you're seeing on this model. And then on the back end, you get more of that cold air to spill in. This would be by Wednesday morning, and you might even see a couple rain or snow showers still lingering as you wake up on Wednesday morning. So here's what the European model is showing, and let's time this out for you guys. We have the high pressure in place over some of the Great Lakes states. We also have that first lead system that's going to carry the system out further to the east, that mini system that's ahead of the bigger storm. We're seeing some of that moisture starting to move into the northern plains, and let's start playing it out and see how this actually times out. So this would be by Saturday night into Sunday morning. That high pressure is dominating the eastern United States. You have very cool temperatures on Saturday night into Sunday morning. They're going to be into the teens and 20s for a lot of these areas in the Northeast and the Ohio Valley for Sunday morning. And then here to be by Sunday, later in the morning through the early afternoon, we're dealing with that lead wave of snow moving out to the east. And then we're going to see this low pressure, which is down here by this point, start to redevelop. You're getting a little bit more moisture to be pulled up into that system, and that's what's going to allow it to really develop a lot more. You see that system spin away. It starts to really develop by this point and wrap up, and then this would be by Monday morning. You're looking at, again, some of that severe weather for some of these southern plains, and then you're dealing with snow on the northwestern edge of this storm. More of that snow heading further to the north into the central plains, and by this point, a lot of these areas from northern Missouri and southern Iowa eastward, basically in a straight line to about Pennsylvania, are looking at some of that snow. In the mid-Atlantic and the northeast, you're starting to get into a little bit of that snow by Monday afternoon, but it should be probably after dark when a lot of those areas in the northeast kick in on some of that snowfall. So actually commuting on Monday might be quite fine. I think Tuesday is going to be the bigger issue for a lot of these areas. If you live in the Great Lakes area, I think you might have to take off Monday and Tuesday depending on your work situation, because you will have a lot of snow on Monday, and then Tuesday morning it's still going to be snowing in some of those areas. And then Tuesday morning, some of that snow is starting to lift out of the Great Lakes. It's weakening off, but still by Tuesday early afternoon, it's still snowing in some areas in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and then it's really taking place over the Northeast by this point, where if we zoom in, by Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're dealing with snow. Again, the European model is actually shifting this rain snow line further to the south, like what I think is going to happen, because you have a dominating high pressure further to the north, and your low pressure is not hugging the coastline. It's all the way down here by this point, so it's not very close that it's going to have a big impact on the temperatures. All that warm air is going to stay out to shore, so I'm not quite sure why the GFS was bringing that rain snow line so far to the north. You have that cold air coming in from Canada, and I think that should suppress that rain snow line fairly far to the south. And then you see that snow continue to head off to the east. I think probably by Wednesday morning, the snow is starting to taper off. It's more light to moderate. It's nothing in terms of blizzard-like conditions because we don't have that much of heavy snow, although the winds will be fairly gusty at times. And then by Wednesday morning, right around 7 a.m. Eastern time, it's pretty much done for the most part. Maybe a couple of rain and snow showers still lingering throughout the mid-Atlantic, but other than that, it's pretty much said and done with by Wednesday morning as you're waking up. So Monday, Tuesday, maybe lingering into early on Wednesday morning are going to be your main days to highlight for this big snowstorm. So here's what the European model is showing, and I think you could cut some of these amounts in half. I don't think you'll be seeing 25 inches of snowfall in Iowa or Nebraska, but you will definitely have maybe a few double digits amounts in southern Iowa there, where you could see a little bit more heavy snowfall. A lot of those areas, especially in southern Iowa, northwestern Missouri, potentially into southeastern Nebraska, have been highlighted on most models for the heaviest snowfall or some of the heaviest snowfall. So if you live within that area, you could see some decent snowfall, and then it's generally a more of a under 6-inch event for a lot of these areas in the Great Lakes and for into the Central Plains. I don't think you're going to be seeing these 1 foot amounts all the way back into Kansas, Nebraska. That's a little bit overdone. Again, you could probably cut these in half, and you would get a lot more accurate numbers. And then for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, it's going to be more of a 4 or 5 inch event. So it's not going to be a huge snowstorm. It will be a big snowstorm because you haven't seen snow in quite a while. It will cause disruptions on the roadways. But in terms of those snow totals, the heaviest snow totals will again be probably throughout this region, where those are going to be some major snow totals depending on exactly how much does fall. Probably by tomorrow or by Sunday, we'll have your snowfall forecast out for the entire storm system. Now, here's another model that we want to look at. Here's the GFS model that we did take a look at, and it's looking pretty much the same, except it's not showing as much snowfall for these regions. I still do think some of those areas over southern Iowa, northernmost Missouri will be dealing with quite a bit of snowfall. It's highlighting a band over northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, and these are kind of the finer details that we're now trying to figure out. Where does the heaviest band of snowfall set? Is it set up? Is it over Indiana and Ohio, or is it over southern Iowa? And I think probably by tomorrow we'll have a much better idea of where exactly that heaviest band does set up. And then again, it's more of that 4 or 5, maybe even 6 or 7 inch event over the northeast there. And it's not going to be huge snow totals, but definitely it'll be notable, and it's definitely something that you have to keep in mind when you're traveling on the roadways. And then here would be what the UKMET model is showing from England, and we're looking at, again, southern Iowa, northern Missouri, looking at the heaviest snowfall according to this, and then you're seeing a band of generally 6 or less inches of snowfall throughout the northeast and through the lower Great Lakes. And then here's another model, the Canadian model, which is fairly similar, although it does shift this area right here further to the south. I think the Canadian model usually does overdo some of the colder air, so the snowfall will probably be shifted a little bit further north than what you're seeing on this model. Now, here's another parameter that is actually really useful when you're looking at some of these snowfall, when you're trying to make a snowfall forecast, or when you're trying to kind of figure out where's the heaviest snowfall going to set up. The Weather Prediction Center's probability of over 0.25 inches of liquid precipitation turning into snowfall or wintry precipitation. It's basically a long way of saying over 2.5 inches of snowfall falling. What are your chances of seeing that? And in this case, because it will be a little bit of a colder system, it's going to be closer to 3 or 4 inches of snowfall. So let's just say, what are your chances of over 3 inches of snowfall? And we're looking at over northeastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, all the way eastward until about Ohio and Michigan. You're looking at over 50%, and then also for central Pennsylvania, over 50%. And if you live over these areas and you're wondering why your chances are a little bit lower, the reason is because this is from Monday through Tuesday early in the morning. If you remember from when we were looking at the timing, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut were right in between that transition zone where you were getting hit at the nighttime on Monday and into Tuesday. So half of your snowfall is going to fall on Monday night, half of it is going to fall on Tuesday morning, most likely, and through the day on Tuesday. So it's going to be kind of split. So these amounts will probably be higher, except the timing is going to make it a little bit interesting when you're looking at these types of graphics. When you're looking at maybe only 4 or 5 inches, you split that over 2 days, that's less than 2.5 inches per day. So it's going to be a little bit misleading. These amounts would probably be extended into that 50% plus area if it were not for the timing issues with this system. And then you can see on their day 5 from Tuesday through Wednesday, they do have that 10 to 30% chance still up there for parts of the Northeast. And again, those timing issues for exactly when the storm hits will make it a little bit more complicated. So here's what my snowfall forecast is calling for. This is for Friday through Sunday. One disclaimer, you could see a couple of snow showers if you live throughout this region right here. So if you live over Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, you could still see some snow showers. I wouldn't expect too much accumulation out of them, and it's not noteworthy enough to really put it under an inch area, but you could see some snow showers from now through Sunday. Again, this is only through Sunday, and the main brunt of the system is Monday through Wednesday, and probably by tomorrow or the day after, I'll have my Monday through Wednesday snowfall system forecast. So this is the under an inch region, and that's for much of the northern plains through the Great Lakes, and then even back through parts of the interior Northeast closer to the Great Lakes. 1 to 3 inches of snowfall in the darker blue here, and that includes much of the northern plains, and then back through the Great Lakes, and a couple isolated areas in parts of Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and even into West Virginia and westernmost Maryland there in the Smoky Mountains, where you have a little bit of elevation, and usually you can get a couple more inches of snowfall in those areas. And then here's that 3 to 6 inch area. Most of the models are highlighting this area right here over southern Minnesota to get a fairly decent amount of snowfall, and that's why I included them in that 3 to 6 inch area. Probably closer to 3 or 4 inches, but a few 5 or 6 inch amounts cannot be ruled out. And then another heavier area for northwestern Nebraska, southwestern South Dakota, and back through Wyoming and western Colorado, where you're looking at over 3 inches and probably less than 6 inches. But if you're in some of those higher elevations, you could see over 6 inches, most likely 6 to 8 inches, although in some of the mountains in southwestern Colorado, you guys could be dealing with maybe even 8 to 10 or even 11 or 12 inches of snowfall in some of those highest elevations. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.